Hey guys, Mike here from Century 21 Prospect Realty.
I'm Alyssa with A-List Organizing.
And we are here for our second video in a series of home organization videos aimed to help you guys out. First off, I want to say our last video about the pantry, my horribly organized pantry, was super successful. So thank you to all of you guys who watched, reached out with comments, put some of the useful information that Alyssa gave us into practice. I unfortunately did not. My pantry looks the same. But I blame my kids. So, yeah. But yeah, really successful. We really appreciate it. And we are looking forward to doing these next few videos for you guys leading right up into Christmas to get you guys organized. So today we are going to talk about drop zones. And this is an interesting one. So I'll kind of let Alyssa take it here for a bit.
Yeah, so drop zones kind of speak for themselves in terms of what they are exactly, right? So right now we're in my house, actually.
Yeah.
And right behind Mike is the mudroom, so the entryway. And then we have this little table here. So it's kind of the first surface, which tends to be a very common drop zone. The first surface available in the house, and things just get dropped here. So, you know, we have dog bags and receipts and keys and money. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to deal with them because they're pretty common.
Sure, yeah. And you know what? I never even, when Alyssa and I were kind of figuring out what kind of videos we we're going to do, drop zones, it's a ride at Canada's Wonderland in Ontario for me. Like I didn't even know kind of clue into what it was. And then as I walk into my house, I have like several of them in my house where the coats are on one pot. As you proceed down the hall, there appears to be another drop zone. It's like you're emptying your pockets as you walk. So very applicable and interesting for sure.
Okay, so 3 tips this time as well.
All right, 3 tips.
Okay, so tip number 1 is to really examine your drop zone area and figure out what's happening here. What are the habits? So as I mentioned, here we are right close to my mudroom. This is kind of the first organizational surface available. So what's happening? We're coming in the door. My partner is coming in the door. We're emptying our pockets, you know, maybe emptying our purses, whatever. And things are ending up here, right? What do we have here? Okay, we have keys. We have, like I said, we have dog bags. We have a couple business cards. Those are actually my fault. Okay, and then you think, all right, do these things belong here? Can they belong here? Change, yeah, it can work in this area, but it doesn't necessarily work how it's being organized. Other things like, you know, business cards, dog bags, really it's just disorganization and not kind of dealing with the things that are coming out of your pockets. That leads us to tip number 2, which is work with the habits. Now, some of the really common things that are problematic when, you know, I either go into organize somebody's house or maybe somebody has tried to organize a space in their home and tried a new system, it doesn't work because they end up going against what's naturally already occurring. Okay? Yeah. So here, like I say, the habit is to come in and drop things here, like keys, like things like that. So, okay, we're going to work with this habit, and we have a little drawer here.
Well, we gotta have a look. We gotta have a close-up look at this.
So we have a little drawer here. And so in this drawer, we have a little place where we can put the keys. And the key here is that, key here.
No pun intended.
Is that the idea to just, you know, so the key's landing here, but we're working with the habit because to put it here isn't that much more effort, right? So that's some of the main things to look for. So, okay, we're working with the habits. Change, okay. That can also go in one of these sections. All right. Now we're kind of left with a few more random items that don't really belong here. And so that's when we move to the next step or tip, which is creating or setting a reset deadline.
Okay.
So what that is like, okay, so here we are, we have the organizational system that we need for the things that make sense to be in this area. And now we have these other things that always end up in the drop zone, and you know, maybe fixing that habit is a little bit more difficult
Sure.
than we
Takes a
think,
little bit more
right?
work. Yeah.
So a reset deadline, I say like either every day, every second day, at the end of the week, at the, on every Monday, whatever it is, you look at what doesn't belong here and you just deal with it.
Okay.
Okay. The idea of just dealing with it is that it's a bit of work, and so we kind of don't want to just deal with
Sure.
it.
Yeah. No, dealing with it's hard.
But really, like, you have to, and like with a lot of organizing things, the maintenance is the hardest part. And so, like I say, give yourself like a realistic reset deadline. So if every day doesn't work for you because you have kids or whatever, and the drop zone is like getting to be piles and piles of kids' artwork or whatever.
Winter gear?
Yeah.
All of the winter gear?
Then maybe every day doesn't work.
Sure.
And that's fine, but maybe at the end of the week, or maybe every Saturday morning, because you have a little bit of time, right? Just set something that's realistic, so then the drop zone, you get a bit of, so okay, I know there's actually another home for these.
Sure.
This, I know, is actually garbage. These are actually, I have a spot in my office. This is something I'm trying to sell, haven't sold yet. This is garbage. Like, it's actually pretty
Done,
easy,
yeah.
and it's done, right? The hope is that, once you kind of experience more of this kind of clarity,
Sure.
this free space, that you won't want to drop as much as possible. And we've created systems that work with the habits of the family.
For sure. Some really good tips there, and I think the one that really strikes with me is creating the system. If I'm dropping my keys here, it's probably because grabbing my keys here as I'm heading out the door. Mm-hmm. So me deciding that I'm going to go put them on the kitchen counter isn't such a great idea. It's not going to work because it's not practical for me, but having an organized solution in the drawer works. The other thing I wanted to ask you is that, in your experience, do you find that once you allow a drop zone to start, it can easily just spiral out of control?
Yes.
So once, there's a receipt there already, it just becomes the place that the longer you let it go?
Yes, absolutely. And so for me, actually, now this drop zone that we, saw here was actually an accumulation that I let accumulate for this video.
Because that's not allowed in the organizer's house. No.
But for me, it's like every day,
Sure.
because it might be one receipt, two receipts, and it's and like you say, you just kind of keep piling things, so it's not a big deal. But if you deal with it, if you feel like you can deal with it more often, then it also is less time, right? Because there's fewer things to deal with, and then it's less of a burden in the long run, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this may seem like a small drop zone area, but I encourage you all to look in your homes, and I see it as I go through homes that aren't quite ready to be sold yet, that people are having us come over just to consult. They crop up all throughout the house, and it can be a piece of furniture. It can be a chair that has become the holding spot for clothes, or it's pretty interesting. Like I said, when I first heard the word drop zone from you, and I stopped and stepped back and looked at my house, I'm like, oh my God, those things are everywhere. Yeah. Right? So too bad they couldn't be like black holes and just suck everything away.
Yeah, and I know like this is a fairly common thing, I think, but a lot of perhaps people that are watching have kids, and like I say, you're bringing stuff home, you're bringing home permission slips, you're bringing home, I actually just dealt with a client, and they had accepted that that a certain area on their kitchen counter was a bit of a drop zone.
Sure.
But it was chaotic, right? Like it wasn't organized in a way. So we set it up so that there were, so things like receipts, things like bills that they had to deal with, things like kids' artwork, things like that were piling up. So what we did was basically just get 3 different paper trays, and one was for bills, and one was for artwork, and one was for permission slips or whatever, right? So
still a drop zone, but an organized drop zone that has a purpose.
Exactly.
Bonus tip.
Bonus tip.
In demand. All right, let's have it.
The key is patience, really.
Patience.
Really, the key is patience for a lot of whenever you're creating new organizational systems, or you're really trying to create a system that's just clutter-free. If we think of even something like this, like putting a key here instead of here, can take a bit of time.
Yeah.
Habits, the average habit, the amount of days it takes is 66 days. Whew. I'm not telling you it's gonna take that long, but I am saying that you do need to give yourself some time.
Persistence and patience.
Yeah, and the family some time.
Sure.
Communicate the system to your family so that they know what you're trying to accomplish, right? And maybe they know, so then they also know why a cluttered drop zone area doesn't make you feel very good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just you walk in and it's just a mess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are my tips for drop zones. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments,
Yeah,
and I'll hope
absolutely.
to answer them.
So drop zones, yeah, that was really, really good. And again, I'm willing to bet if any of you have a look in your home, whether you have a big one, a little one, you will find drop zones. And you never know if the day comes where you need to sell your house, or you've already been living in a kind of clutter-free environment. These kind of things are things that take people a lot of time to do to get ready to get their home ready for sale.
Mm-hmm.
It takes them a lot of time to do these little things. If you develop these habits, maybe you never sell your home and you just live in kind of a organized, blissful harmony, but maybe you do, and then these are things you don't even have to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
So really awesome tips. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. This is episode number 2. We've got 2 more planned for you leading into Christmas. We're really excited about these. Everybody really liked the first one. We had a lot of great interaction with the Yellowknife community on it, and look forward to keep doing more. So talk to you soon, guys.
Thanks.